Here's a request that really I've gotten several others very much like it, asking me, could you please do a quick tip on how to look at other artists' work? She goes on to say, I need some simple ways I can look at a painting and know whether it's good or bad. Yeah, that's a good place to start. I see so many comments on paintings whenever I occasionally log into Facebook. Comments like, you're so talented, that's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, how I would love to teach the whole world how to look at a painting. Now, when we look at paintings, we really shouldn't be looking to judge whether it's good or bad. What we should look for is, what is the painting doing? If the painting is holding together in terms of its description and the way it's composed, it's probably working well as a successful painting. So judging, try to stay away from that. We forgot too much of that already. But I have some suggestions. She said, keep it simple. I have some suggestions and language for you, especially when you're looking at masterwork, so you can understand what the master artist was doing. But it's also a good way to look at just everyday person's work, maybe in the community art shows and whatever. We have seven things or elements that are visual elements that make up everything we look at. Just like in the English language, we have a certain number of parts of speech. I used to remember how many, but I can't remember now. But if we look at artwork in terms of these things and not just whether it was good or bad, but what are these things doing? Now let's walk you through this and try it out. Try it out just at a local art show. And in fact, you wouldn't have to really go through the whole list. Just sort of remember one or two that you're going to look for. I selected a painting by Richard Schmid. This is just a reproduction, of course, and it certainly doesn't do justice to the painting, but we can see in here what he's doing, what the painting is doing, in addition to it just being a still life of a bowl of fruit. Well, let's look at what he was doing now. We have these elements, these visual elements that I just mentioned, that are part of everything we look at. Everything we look at is made of the visual language. We'll just take one at a time and show you how to look for what it's doing. Now, in painting, we use these things. We use color, we use value, shape, texture, size, direction, and line. We use those things to describe. We're describing oranges and apples. We're describing a still life. We're describing these lemons and oranges sitting in a bowl. We're describing foliage. We're describing the fabric, etc. Yes, but that's not all we're doing. The description is only half of what happens in a good painting. In a good painting, color is going to do some stuff. It's going to help balance the painting, the way the color is repeated on either side, and the way it's repeated within. It's going to help us see what I call the visual path, which is the direction. Which way are things arranged to guide your eye? Is your eye staying within the painting because of the way those things are arranged? Are they arranged in such a way that your eye goes out of the painting and there's nothing in the painting to bring your eye back? The value that we're looking for is everything from lightest light to dark dark. What the realistic painter is doing with value should be showing what the light is doing to these colors, what the light and shadow are doing to these colors. And it should indicate a light source, a single light source. And we can tell the light source of this because of the way the highlights are placed, because of the way he's placed the highlights, and the light of everything else. We tell the light source is sort of upward and maybe a bit to what would be his left. So you see the way he's got the highlights, we call the highlights there. So that's value. Value helps describe, it describes the shadows and light. It describes the degree of darkness and the degree of light throughout the painting. But value also plays a role of guiding the eye. The value creates the contrast, the major contrast. Color creates contrast too, but value will create contrast that will cause your eye to go towards something. And as we repeat these various colors and various values, we're guiding the eye throughout the painting. Then there is shape. Well, we have shapes that are round. We have shapes that are other shapes, organic shapes that take on some roundness and some geometric quality to them. So the repetition of shapes will also help guide the eye. But describing in the description end, the shape really tells us something about what we're looking at, what that thing is. But that's not the only thing shape tells us. We use shape to help compose the painting, to make it interesting, and to guide the eye throughout the painting. And there is texture. Now, texture, as many ways that people describe texture. I describe it as quiet and busy. The busier, the more things going on, really created from little value contrast, the more activity going on because of little value contrast creates texture. The smoother areas create texture too, but that is a quieter, smoother texture. We use the texture, the more active texture, like these pieces with all these little variations in the shape, etc. We use texture to enhance the whole image and to emphasize one kind of texture against another. For example, the more active texture really emphasizes the smoother texture. The size of things, describing, of course, it describes how big or how small something is, but the sizes of things in landscape painting especially can also lead us into the distance, the way we change the size as things get smaller as they go into distance. How we vary size or repeat size helps to give the painting unity. So you see, that's the composing part, giving the painting unity, and repeating is a composing part. The size simply shows us something about the relationship of those images to each other and how close we are to them. The direction, or we mentioned that earlier, is probably one of the most important things we do when we're composing. We are guiding the viewer's eye to stay within a painting. And so we do that by the way we arrange the similar colors, for example. Going back to the colors, the direction has to do with all these things. So when we arrange the colors in such a way that the eye moves throughout the painting, we arrange the directions, see the tilt of diagonal, the tilt of a diagonal going this way, a tilt of a diagonal going that way, etc. That also helps to guide the eye. But the direction does an important thing too. It not only guides the eye in these various directions, it helps to balance the painting. So if you have a painting that has lots of diagonals in it, such as this does, then we need something to stabilize that. And artists will use either a horizontal direction or a vertical direction to give stability to the painting. And so you see that feeling of horizontal, the way he has these things arranged, the way they're sitting on the table, that gives that stability to many, many, many things going on in there. And then we can sort of feel a sense of vertical, by the way he has things aligned here. It's not as strong as that sense of horizontal. But if we look for those things, that also helps. Now, going back to color, there's one other thing that color can do to a painting. A color can make or break a painting. So the way we use color is very, very important, not just for describing, as I said before, what the things are, but the way we use color to give harmony to the painting. Now, people get confused about the difference between harmony and unity. They are not the same. I don't care what anybody says. Unity means everything belongs. And one way to cause things to belong is to make them harmonize. We harmonize with color, just like keeping a instrument in tune in music. Color harmony keeps the painting in tune. Now, harmony can be created by the way colors are used together as they relate on the color wheel. And you know I couldn't get through something like this without mentioning the color wheel. Put this down like this. And here's what I'm talking about. I want you to look how beautifully Schmidt has done this. Most of the colors that he has used here are located from the point of, well, actually yellow-green right over here. We see yellow-green, a lot of yellow-green. We see yellow. We see yellow-orange. We see orange. We see red-orange. We see red here. And do we see red-violet yet? You will see a little bit of red-violet. So you see what he has there. He has gone in his choosing of color. He's chosen colors that are on the warm side of the color wheel between two complements. Using those two complements are red, violet, and yellow, green, which you see repeated in here. And this is the color scheme he's used. Now we have a little bit of blue here that sort of accents those. Blue is the complement of orange. And the blue, in very small amounts, but very strategically repeated, just a little bit, just enough to give it harmony. That gives an accent or helps emphasize the other colors. Green has blue in it, and so that helps to carry through the harmony. Now, when we get paintings out of harmony, it's just when we're just using a mishmash just because we think it looks good or trying to match somebody's couch, we come close to just getting color chaos without having harmony in a painting. But the harmony, keeping in mind that the harmony is very, very important. And you can always know you have color harmony when you use the color wheel, and when you use the color wheel in a logical way, not just random or not necessarily by some formula. So, and there we have other quick tips on color and color wheel and that sort of thing. So that gives you kind of a language to use when looking at paintings. Look for what's happening to them. What are these things doing? And by doing, I mean, when we talk about color, what is color doing? It is describing, certainly. It's describing. This color is describing the leaves, describing the orange, etc. But it is also repeating in a way that it guides the eye. And it also is being used in a way to harmonize. So color is doing harmony, it's harmonizing, and it's doing repeating, it's repeating. That is the guiding of the eye. And you can go through that list about what are these things doing. Now, doing is very important. Using the language of just nouns, just using nouns, doesn't describe to you what is actually going on in a painting. But when you can look for what something is doing, and when you know what the capabilities are of each of these things to do their job in a painting, then you can evaluate a painting, or you can look at a painting, and you can decide for yourself in what ways the painting might be successful, and in what ways it may not. Be sure and view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell, so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip. which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianeMize.com where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.